The leader of India's opposition has been detained outside of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's residence as thousands of protesters remain camped out in the area. After brutal crackdowns by police on Monday, youth groups aligned with the so-called cockroach movement have taken to the streets of New Delhi again. They're calling for reforms to India's education system, calls that are becoming tougher to ignore.
Battle scars from Monday's protests. These people were among the thousands that took to the streets of New Delhi to demand the resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan alongside sweeping examination reforms. They were greeted with tear gas and police brutality, with hundreds injured in the chaos. Still, that hasn't stopped many more returning for a second day of demonstrations.
If the government thinks that tear gas and baton charges will stop the younger generation, it won't happen. We're here talking about education, about securing our futures. Until our demands are met, we won't move from here.
We will fearlessly give a response to the oppression that occurred yesterday. We still have just as much passion in us. These people, those in power, the police, think that if they beat us with batons, we will get scared. Even today, after they used batons on us yesterday, we are ready to take bullets.
The leader of the youth-led cockroach movement, named in response to an Indian minister labelling unemployed young people in India cockroaches, has also confirmed the fight is far from over.
We are going to continue our protest and we will be announcing our next big event soon.
The scale of the protests, which have also included hunger strikes, have seen potentially powerful allies jump on the bandwagon, with India's various opposition leaders visiting injured protesters in hospital or directly calling for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to face consequences.
Issue students ki hai.
The issue is of the students and the future of the youth. And whatever is happening, people being thrashed, this is completely un-Indian. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has not even apologized for what has happened yesterday.
Rahul Gandhi was one of several high-profile politicians seen demonstrating outside Modi's residence before reportedly being detained by police. As pressure mounts on India's government to implement change, the message from the cockroach youth movement is clear. Their pestering is far from over.
And DW correspondent Adil Bhat is following the story for us in India's capital, New Delhi. Tell us more about the response from the authorities to this protest movement. Are there any signs that they will address the protesters' demands?
Well, there are definitely signs because Prime Minister Modi first time acknowledged that there is an issue of paper leak and he had meetings with the top ministers in cabinet. So there is an acknowledgement from Prime Minister Modi, but protesters on the streets of New Delhi that we met today, for them acknowledgement means nothing. What they're demanding accountability, and that accountability means the resignation of Education Minister of India, Dharmendra Pradhan. So there have been meetings from Cockroach Janata Party went to meet Prime Minister Modi's cabinet ministers, but they were a bit disappointed because they did not get clear answer. If this minister will be responsible for, he will take responsibility for this. So on the streets, when we ask the questions, young people, usually like these students and protesters, they tell us that this indifference from the government is really hurting them. They're saying that they've been demanding the resignation of this minister for the last 1 month, and government is not listening to them. So they're really disappointed, and we see the anger. That anger is not fading on the streets of New Delhi anymore.
Tell us a little bit more about the mood and what you have been experiencing watching this protest movement. How deep is the resolve among protesters to continue to take this to the streets until demands are met?
Well, I've been observing this protest for the last couple of days, but last 2 days have been crucial because yesterday was the biggest protest where thousands of people, they started joining this protest. We saw a sea of people yesterday, and today also we saw thousands of protesters who want to come and join Jantar Mantar, which is a designated protesting site, where they want to give solidarity to the Cockroach Janata Party. And we met dozens of people. All of them spoke with us. These are families, these are like students who came from different cities and different states. They have one question, that why is government treating us this way? Because one of the students said, like yesterday when he took part in the protest, he was fired with tear gases as he was beaten up badly. And he said, protesters are telling us that the government is treating them as if they're anti-nationals by just raising the question of paper leaks. You could still see this sloganeering that's going on, and the slogans that we hear from the students, they're calling that we don't accept Modi's tendency of showing us signs of dictatorship. We spoke with experts also. They're saying we're going to challenge that. We'll make Modi, he has to accept our demands and sack this minister as soon as possible. That's the sentiment we are getting. We also spoke with parents who travel like for days. They've been telling us that Modi's indifference to this kind of protest is really alarming and kind of hurting them badly.
Adil, just briefly, this so-called cockroach movement, it's one of India's biggest youth protest movements. How much of this movement is about education, and how much of it reflects wider frustrations over unemployment and opportunities for India's youth?
Well, before I answer this question, you could see already the deployment of police forces here. They're gathering in large numbers, and the protesters are coming from that side. They want to cross this boundary to reach out to the Jantar Mantar, which I told you, that's the designated site for protest. But they've been stopping them. They use these barricades. They use these sticks to kind of, sometimes you could see the protesters are now coming. You see in large numbers just behind us what they are demanding. All of these students, they've been sitting here for the last couple of days. This is the kind of anger, frustration that we're showing you right now. These are the live visuals, and all of them are demanding that we want accountability, and they've been raising these slogans from last 2 days. But government is not listening to them. They've been stopped. They're not. But getting back to the real question, you could hear the slogans, right? Getting back to the real question, this is an important issue. This is not a question about education only. It's a question about unemployment. It's a question about young youth demanding jobs and accountability as well, and fairness.